It's a long story. It really begins in my roots because I grew up with my grandparents, and my grandfather, he was like a real. He repaired everything. He didn't go and buy like if his shaver was broken, it cost 10 euros to buy a new one. He would still like open it up and go out in the shed and find the small springs and parts he needed to put it together. And I was always there like, what are you doing? What does that do? And I followed him, whatever he did. If he served the car, I was there. If he fixed something, I was there. And that was like where I found my curiosity against technical things. So I was always like interested in how things work. I wanted to take it apart and see how different technical functions worked, and I started to do this with my own things when I started to become a bit older. I was always interested in touching the parts. I wanted to take things apart and I wanted to know how things worked. Already like back in school, in Sweden we have this like 2 weeks every last year of the school where you have to go out in the real world and try to make to do a job. Like a lot of people chose like a sports store to work there for 2 weeks to get a real life, what do they call it, get to know how it is to work when you're finished with school. And most people choose like a sports store because then they would get like a nice pair of sneakers when you quit it. And some people, my best friend, he was in a bakery. He was like the skinniest guy when he started, and then he like, you could see he started to become a bit fat at that point. He ate cookies all day. He was so happy being there. But they like the person who that helps you to find your way with like a new education or what you're going to work with, like I don't know the name in English, but like she set me up first with a place that repaired bicycles because she knew I was like technical, and I said like I know bicycles. I've fixed with my bicycles since I was small, and I want to learn something new. I want to learn how to weld. And she's like, yeah, but where do you go if you want to weld? I'm like, I don't know, some sheet metal place. And she's like, sorry, we don't have any contact since before with these places. You have to find it yourself. So I started to search around. That was like before I actually Google things or search online. So I was like in a phone book and searching like sheet metal shop, and after a while I found a place. And I called him, and really nice guy. I still know him. It's like he was my mentor after the period. I went there and said like, okay, I want to learn these things because we had this period in school, and he knew about it because they had the same when he was small as well. I was there for 2 weeks, and it was really nice. He almost was like I don't know, like a friend or a father figure for me during these 2 weeks. And at the same time, he was like a hot rod guy. So at his late hours, he started to arrange with his car instead. And of course I stayed because it interests me to stay with and see what he was doing with his car. At that moment, I liked cars as well, like more modern car. I was more like into 70s Ford Mustang. But he brought me a bit further back, and he said like, yeah, you want to learn how to weld? And I was like, he's finally asking questions. Like the weekend after this practice season was over, he taught me how to weld, and we went to a store and he bought me like a big set of tools that he gave me. And after that practice session in school, I came back to the same workshop every Easter, summer, autumn break, Christmas break for maybe 3 years. And I learned more and more, and because I knew I could use this as a tool to work with at that moment my moped. But when I was 18, I could wrench my car and build my own things for the car, and then I bought a motorcycle when I was old enough to drive the motorcycle. So it just built on from this moment in my life, I would say. For me, it's more like really old school, like paired correct cafe racers or bobbers. That's my personal interest when it comes to motorcycles. It's always different, but you have to work with it. Like we get our customer ask, like, can you make a bike for me? A lot of times they have, they say like, oh, we love your work and I want something from you. They show like some pictures, like I like this and this and this. And a lot of times this is completely different bikes. But we have to figure out what the customer wants. It's like, it's easy to say like that he likes his exhaust, he likes his wheels, he likes his color. But in the end, we're responsible of making everything come together, and the product needs to be good. So it's always like a challenge for us to get to know exactly what do he want and how can we do something that is us with this, and hopefully all of us is happy in the end. But most of the time the customer already have a bike, or he knows what bike, the model he wants to use. So we pick up the bike, or we buy the bike, specific bike, take it all apart, and when it's like totally disassembled, it's suddenly like it's like an empty sheet of paper that we can start to draw on. Sometimes you look at other bikes that maybe you saw something good with it, but of course we don't copy. But maybe there's like a color pattern that we like, or there's like some certain materials that we like to combine, and maybe we make like a what do you call it? Like a board where we put up all the colors and materials that we want to put together, and we have a basic idea that the customer also likes. But a lot of the inspiration, a lot of how the bike takes shapes, it happens through the process. Like even if you get maybe like 5 certain things that, okay, the customer wants this. We have our own boundaries that, okay, we want to incorporate this 5 things. Within this, there's still a lot of space for other things to happen. Maybe through when I make the frame, you see some lines that you could continue to follow on, or like you see something like, oh, maybe we could do like this, and okay, let's try that, and it's still within the boundaries of both what the customer wants and what we want. But all of these small things during the process, maybe a lot of times we change the original idea to a better, because we find something that's not given from the beginning, and then we consult with the customer, like, do you like this? And we send the pictures. It's always important to have send process pictures, so we know like everyone is taking very well. So it's very hard to say, because like in a perfect world we can order everything the first day and it will arrive some days later, and we could maybe if we know exactly how everything's going to be, maybe it could take a couple of weeks. But we live on Earth and in Spain and have some boundaries to go around, as well as like the design idea doesn't come directly. Maybe it takes just a couple of weeks for us to know exactly what we want to do with it. It would be easy to just buy parts put together, but then it missed some spirit. You could see that this was not as thought through as it could have been. So, but it can be everything from like maybe like a half year up to a year. It depends. There's a lot of bikes I would like to work on. I mean, it's mostly like only old British bikes that are very rare and hard to find, and it would be hard for me to even think like can I cut this bike up? But it's like I would have pain in my heart to actually do something with some of these old vintage bike, but I would still have the opportunity to do it. Because like the machinery, like the engine by itself, looks so mechanically beautiful, like the covers, the push rods, and it has some nice details that you want to have this as a base. And it's made because it needs to be like this and happens to be beautiful. Like, well, not happen, like the engineers probably had the idea to make what they made beautiful as well, but you can see that it's like, okay, it's mechanical, and then they made everything nice. You have like a model of a motorcycle, and you draw like on a fairing or something. It knows that you're supposed to touch the fairing like in this three-dimensional plane, not like only like a. Normally it will become like a two-dimensional line in space, but it knows like, okay, you try to touch something that is further in the screen, and then when you follow the component, you follow the lines. You can kind of sketch the new shape of like a headlight, and then just like, okay, choose like the average line that you just sketch, and it will just adapt, well, more or less. In our new, business plan, our idea is to start to make more products ourselves, to make products that we feel is missing. A lot of times we know like, okay, what taillight should we use? And we're like, maybe I would take this one. But everyone takes the same parts over and over again, because there's like a certain amount of parts that everyone think this is the best, and then 90% of the bikes have exactly this brake or this tail light or this speedometer, and we want to do this ourselves when we see that something is missing for us.